Okay, so maybe we'll get started. So I just want to thank you all for joining us this evening. It's such a pleasure to launch our third year of MURPH. My name is Natasha Haskey, and I'm one of two graduate mentors. I'm at UBCO in the Department of Biology, and I'm doing my PhD looking at how diet impacts gastrointestinal diseases. And Megan is my partner here in MURPH. We both work together helping to coordinate the MURPH program. So maybe I'll just have Megan unmute her mic and she can say a couple words about herself.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Welcome to our launch event. As Natasha kindly introduced me, my name is Megan, and I'm a PhD student here at the School of Engineering at UBCO. And during my undergrad years, I worked a lot in multidisciplinary research, so I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't gotten introduced to those amazing projects back in the day. So we're really glad to have you join us and lead to amazing research together.
Thank you, Megan. So like I say, it's been a pleasure. Both Megan and I have been a part of MURPH since its inception. So it's been going on for 3 years. So today we're going to go a little bit, just kind of go over a little bit of the background of MURPH and then move into talking about the 21-22 year and talk about some of the, just to give some more details about the program, talk about our sort of guiding principles and kind of go from there. I know everyone's really busy and we had planned to do an icebreaker, but I think we're going to hold our icebreaker for future workshops. We do love to do our icebreakers, but I just think everyone is feeling a little bit crunched right now. I know everyone's in the middle of midterms and just have lots of places to be. So we're going to start out our presentation today with a welcome from Dr. Milani. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but he has done a short pre-recorded presentation, which I will share with you right now.
Can you guys hear anything?
I heard something.
Okay, good.
I will give you a brief introduction about our institute and how it connects to MURPH. So MMRI, or Materials Manufacturing Research Institute, was established as a multidisciplinary, multi-campus, meaning Okanagan and Vancouver hub. The goal is to establish high-impact cluster of research excellence in different sub-areas of materials manufacturing. And of course, as we do that, we collaborate with other centers and institutes within UBC and nationally and internationally. And if we do that correctly, we would like our vision is to be a role model in linking basic and applied research on different areas of materials manufacturing. So we have currently 6 pillars, all the way from aerospace transportation, biomedical, biological, building and construction, electromagnetic and nanoscale materials manufacturing, to polymer and natural materials manufacturing, and most recently, data science and engineering. So through all these pillars, really the goal is to bring students, faculty, and industry together to work under, again, multidisciplinary type of projects, learn from each other, and at the end have higher impact for the society around us. So also, as these pillars are getting connected to each other, you see on the right side, if we have, say, a product, we expect some performance from it, but at the end of the day, that performance is linked to the property of the material in that product. And then that goes back how the microstructure at the chemistry level, material science level has been developed, and goes back again in processing, how the manufacturers has processed that material. So you see this linkage is there when we look at the macro level all the way to micro level, manufacturing level. And that's where it's a good example, shows why multidisciplinary approach nowadays is a key, no matter in manufacturing field, no matter in the health applications and so on. So of course, MURPH closely relates to biomedical and biological pillars, but as I'm sure some of you are from other fields that you see the names here, computer science, polymer, and so on, will work all together, but at the end, the goal is really applied health within this cluster. So really our research strategy or the culture that we also promote in programs such as MURPH is highly integrated, basic and responsive research, or we call it high bar. So that means, yes, we do basic research on one hand, but we keep an eye on the end, what the user, in this case, patients and so on, will need. So that's applied research, and this becomes a push and pull process. That's where, again, is very important. The communication is very organized among team members, among faculty, to learn from each other, because on the left hand is quiet, early stages, generic, autonomous type of research, and is, if you wish, is a bottom-up or capacity building stage. But on the right side, on the other hand, is kind of is led by technology or industry or application. This is a well-established vision. And again, this should go back and forth so that it continuously becomes a effective research team. So, of course, health, applied health is a perfect example of this, and MURPH serves on that, where we have faculty from numerous departments that work with the students, also in this case, 2 students per team from different projects, and also mentored by graduate students towards that culture of multidisciplinarity, or if you wish, again, a high bar type of research towards applied health. So what I would like also to emphasize, apart from technical skills that you will learn, it's very critical you pay close attention, not only MURPH throughout your own careers and learning at UBC, to the value of the learning soft skills. Because at the end of the day, the confidence, time management, self-management skills, friendliness and manners, ambition, focus, common sense, situational awareness, meaning you have to be able to customize the solution to the given problem, enthusiasm and optimism, and empathy. They are skills that are much needed when you go to the real world. And I think it's well said by Shiv Khera, saying that people who wish to go into the future should have 2 skills to succeed: the ability to deal with people and the ability to sell. So I think these are also very critical skills that you will learn through soft skills workshops during the MURPH, next to the technical skills that you will learn through team-based. So at the end, I would like to thank you for listening to my presentation and welcome you to MURPH. And I leave it from here to our graduate mentors to continue the session. Thank you.
We're good to go. Okay, great. So to start off, I'd like to thank our amazing sources of funding throughout the years. Without them, this program wouldn't be possible. So for today's agenda, again, we're going to introduce you to the program, talk about what is MURPH, what's our vision and goals for the program, introduce you to the team, our MURPH management team, and me and Natasha, and go over the program's achievements in the previous years, and then talk about the plans for 2021 and 2022, talking about some of the projects that have been successfully funded, our new faculty members and new students, going over some of the program guidelines and our upcoming events. So what is MURPH all about? So back in the day, this idea actually stemmed from an idea put forth by the MMRI, which you were introduced to earlier. And it was namely by Dr. Matti Takatfoli from MMRI. And he really saw an opportunity to develop this multidisciplinary program for undergraduate students with an underlying aspect of health. And he applied to the PURE competition, the UBCO's program for undergraduate research experience competition, which was successfully funded back in 2018. And this previous year, we actually were funded again for this upcoming year successfully by the Provost's office from the Excellence Fund. And throughout the program, we really want to promote undergraduate multidisciplinary research and engage in health research activities that are meant to have meaningful impacts on our communities, our hospitals, and industries. And we really want to foster interdisciplinary research. So we want to make sure that we have these project teams that are comprised of multiple MURPH undergraduate scholars and faculty members from various departments and institutes. And we not only want the multidisciplinary aspects for our PIs and principal investigators to be working together, but also our students. So we really hope that they can develop that professional skills development and really learn from each other, have hands-on experiences, go to each other's lab, and really teach each other what they know. And we know that multidisciplinary research, as Dr. Milani mentioned earlier, is super in our research and our universities, but we know that it has some issues and problems along the way that we have to deal with as well. So hopefully we're hoping to develop some workshops, introduce you to what is multidisciplinary research all about, what are some of these aspects that we can work on and just be aware of, such as preparing ourselves for team-based science. So having that self-reflection, understanding that there are different personality types that we might be working with in a group setting, and being open to giving and receiving feedback, and really understanding the value of mentorship in the program. And we know that there's a strong team building aspects in programs such as MURPH. So we really want to have this in multidisciplinary project teams, setting our expectations not only by the PIs, but setting expectations for ourselves as students and delivering the tasks systematically. And communication, we know that that's super vital, and it's something that we will discuss in our upcoming workshops, how to communicate within your teams, how to actually communicate with the public, the general public, so disseminating your knowledge and the research to the general public, and we will practice that as we go on. And vision development, so developing that shared vision within your groups, critical thinking, and group decision making in the group. So we'd like to introduce you to the MURPH team. We have our amazing MURPH management team, and some of us are able to join tonight. We have Dr. Botor from the School of Nursing, Dr. Anil Eves from the School of Health and Exercise Science, Dr. Miller from Psychology, Southern Medical Program, Dr. Malani from School of Engineering, Dr. Forstman, School of Engineering, and Dr. Takafuli from MMRI. And then we have Natasha and myself. So we are your graduate mentors. We are your primary contact for the program. You're going to see our faces the most. And we're really here to just provide mentorship and support to all of our MURPH students and undergraduate students throughout their research. If there's ever any issues that we need to overcome together, we usually try to have actual group meetings with every team. So we try to overcome any challenges that we might face throughout the semester together. And we really want to provide that support to the senior management team as well with the execution of the program. So Natasha and I work hands-on, and we really try to develop and execute the professional workshops for our undergraduate students and our MURPH scholars. And we try to provide support for the MURPH program via industry partners, sponsorships, and grants applications to really keep the program going and make sure we have funding for future years. And program achievements, I wanted to just touch on some of the previous years. In 2019 and 2020, for the first year of MURPH, we were able to fund a total of 9 projects. We had 17 faculty members in the program and 21 MURPH scholars. And then back in 2020, 2021, we funded 5 projects due to funding. We had 10 faculty members and 11 MURPH scholars. And we did have COVID in 2020 and 2021. So we did have all of the workshops were actually fully online. All the projects were done remotely. So it was a challenging year, but we got through it. And we did have various disciplines, as you can see throughout the previous years. We've had undergraduate students and faculty members from various disciplines, which has been amazing to see. And we also want to ensure that UBCO's mandate and vision is also reflected in our program. So we really want to make sure that we have that sense of inclusion, we have diverse student backgrounds, and really increasing the opportunities for our undergraduate students on campus, making sure that we have that multidisciplinary collaboration, that we're really working together in the program and having and leading to innovation. Hopefully these projects will lead to amazing research, and we can't wait to see where it goes. And these were some pictures from our previous workshops back in 2020. Due to COVID again, everything was done online. So we had some icebreakers. As you can see, we have some of our undergraduate students drawing some pigs in the bottom picture. But although it was challenging, it was a great year, and we got to have another successful year. And we also have these workshops that we try to really teach you and develop your skills, and they build up to these conferences in the end. And for these conferences, we really wanted to show how successful they have been in the previous years. We've had great attendance for our MURPH scholars, and we've had successes. We've had our groups that have won top poster prizes in their respective categories. This is one of our groups in the first year, and our second group in the first year as well. And this was one of our top poster prizes from last year as well. So we really wanted to encourage you and let you know that if we work together, it's going to lead to some amazing results. And now I'm going to pass it on to Natasha to go over our vision and goals for 2021-2022.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience before. Hopefully the rest of this presentation goes okay. So I'm here to give the overview of what we're going to do this year. And I just want to mention that, as Megan had mentioned last year, we spent a lot of time trying to find additional funds for the program, and we were actually very successful. We applied to the Provost Excellence Fund, and they saw the value in the work we were actually doing. So they decided to fund the MURPH program for one more year. Next slide, please. So we are pleased to welcome faculty and scholars from a variety of disciplines again. Right now, we're in our program this year, we have 10 different disciplines. And we also have co-PIs not only from UBCO, but we have a couple co-PIs from Vancouver. So this year, as far as our faculty, we have 17 faculty that we're very pleased to support in this program. Every year, we have just some returning members and some different faculty members that have joined us. We had some very, very tough choices to make this year, as we had 15 different types of projects that were submitted, all very, very high quality, but we unfortunately only have the funds, or we had the funds to fund 10 particular projects. Every year we're seeing an increase in the number of applications. And so obviously the word is getting around about MURPH, but hopefully we will be able to continue to fund this program. So I am so pleased to welcome our 21-22 scholars. We have 21 scholars this year. And again, faculty had some very difficult choices. There were many, many applications. There was actually 91 applications that faculty had to look through. And I think as a MURPH scholar, I would be very proud that you were accepted into the program. And just a reminder to our scholars, we had sent out some information asking for a bio, because we like to do a little profile of you on our website. And if you can also share your CWL so we can get things set up on Canvas. So as I mentioned, we were able to select 10 projects this year. And as you can see from the titles of these projects, we have a very broad range of topics that involve both qualitative and quantitative research. And also you can see that they're very cutting edge. So this is really exciting for the program. So because we want to hear a little bit more about each project, this is why we asked faculty if they'd briefly introduce their project and share a little bit about their project. And obviously at the end, I'll talk a little bit more about this. After the students have worked on the project, we'll have more details, but we just wanted to kind of hear from faculty how they came about these ideas and what makes them multidisciplinary. So Megan, if you could move to the next slide. And what I'm going to do is just, I'm hoping that one faculty member is present, and I'll just read the title, and hopefully one of the faculty members can kind of jump in and just tell us a bit about your project. So to start things off, I'm wondering if there's either Dr. Holtzman or Dr. Keys are available to talk about the sleep and family relationships before and during COVID-19 pandemic project.
Hello, that's me, Elizabeth Keys. So I'm just really pleased to have our project funded. The COVID-19 pandemic has, influenced everybody in many ways, and one of those ways it's indirectly influenced sleep, as well as the nature kind of our social relationships throughout the lifespan. And so our MURPH research study brings together psychology and nursing to look at the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on sleep and social relationships in families, in Okanagan families.
Go mute.
Oh, sorry. who have in Okanagan families of preschool age children. And so we have a really nice cross-sectional self-report data set from just before the pandemic, so our pre-pandemic cohort. And we're going to be collecting a contemporary COVID-19 cohort. And what we'll do is we'll be able to describe and compare the differences in preschool children's sleep duration, maternal sleep quality and fatigue, and mother-child and mother-partner relationships prior to and during the pandemic. I feel like I could go on and on. So that's what the study will be about in terms of multidisciplinary sleep and child health is really nice fit for multidisciplinary. So Dr. Holtzman has focused on digital kind of technologies and the digital age and how that influences our mental health and well-being. And as a nurse, I've been focusing on sleep and child health and mental health as well. So it's some nice overlap there. It's a new collaboration. So I met Dr. Holtzman when I was interviewing. I'm a new faculty at UBCO, and she was one of the people I spoke with during my interview process. And we had been looking kind of for some opportunity that would align with mutual interests and some overlap. And so we were really pleased to be funded for this project. In terms of what we hope the MURPH scholars take away is we think it's a great undergraduate project to be involved in because they kind of get a lot of different pieces across the research process. And then also in terms of, getting that appetite and experience for research and interdisciplinary research teams and kind of whetting their appetite for that. So we hope they see value and learn value in that and the added value of working on a multidisciplinary research team as opposed to just one discipline.
Thank you, Dr. Keys. And I just want to mention that Andrea Tam and Tristan Ramsey will be working on this project. And if you're available tonight and you want to unmute your mic and give us a wave, that would be great. I'm not sure exactly who's on tonight. If you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. We can move on.
I see Tristan waving. He was quiet.
Okay. Thank you, Tristan.
Hello, I'm Andrea. Yeah, hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet all of you.
All right, so the next project is designing and developing an immersive technology solution for telehealth. And I see that Dr. Hassan is on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So my name is Khaled Hassan and I'm a assistant professor in the computer science department. So this project is in collaboration with Dr. Abbas Milani. And the idea basically came from over the past 1.5 years due to COVID-19, we made many adjustments, right? This is not only for faculty members, this also applies for many other people. For instance, healthcare providers, they are actually providing different services through telehealth. But most of the telehealth related services are providing through voice or regular video. So our intention for this project, or the goal of this project, is to develop an augmented reality solution where actually the digital world can be actually merged on top of the physical world to provide an enhanced experience for telehealth related service. So we can envision a system where, let's say, a telehealth provider can share any virtual replicas of a physical object just to convey different information related to healthcare to a remote patients and so on. So that's kind of the idea where it came up from. And now for this particular project, I already have some other ongoing projects with Dr. Abbas Milani. So that's where the collaboration actually started. And I am aware of the MURPH application, and we actually discussed whether we can submit a proposal for this one. And then basically we discussed and came up with this idea. This is how I connect with Dr. Milani. And for this particular project, the takeaway for the MURPH scholar would be actually for two different students. I know that they are from different disciplines. We have one student from computer science and another student from health science. So for the computer science student, he would be able to expose to different augmented reality solutions, and he would be gain knowledge of how to design such immersive technology solution for remote like remote collaboration. And for the health science student, he'd be able to design experiment, like running the study and also collecting the data and analyzing the data. So that's kind of the plan that we have right now.
Thank you. Our nursing student is Vanessa Lowe, and our computer science student is Jay Jang. Are either of you on the call tonight?
I'm Jay. Hi. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
I am Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hey.
Thank you. Okay, the next project is the personal belongings carrier. Is Dr. Chow on today?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Yes, so I'm Shirley Chow. I'm Associate Professor at the School of Social Work at UBC Okanagan, and I'm working with Dr. Abbas Malani on this project. I'm going to send to you a link via chat so you can see what I'm talking about. But basically, this project, we've been in partnership to work together since 2018. 2019, we got funded by SHRC. And we were about to get started with this project. If you click on the link, you'll see a picture of this thing that looks like a little buggy. But basically that piece, that little belongings cart, was designed by engineering students a few years prior, and it was done in consultation with the city. So in terms of the RCMP and other service providers who were concerned about how people who were living rough or homeless were having their needs met. And they found that people weren't using their services to support them in mental health and other things because they didn't want to leave their belongings out on the street where they, it could get stolen, sometimes destroyed. And so when I was approached to consider working together with Dr. Abbas Malani on this, I had to think of a theory because they already built it. But the thing was, he didn't know how it was going to work and if it would work. And so I came into the picture and I brought in a theory about how we get attached to things. So we ended up developing a proposal called, if we build it, what will they do with it? And the theory we were actually looking at is object relations theory. So from a counseling perspective, if we think about how people under stress tend to cope during times of stress, and living on the street is stressful, is there a way that we can help bridge them from the street to services and help them do that by keeping their belongings with them? So it was that kind of project. But then in 2019, as we were gearing up to move ahead, COVID happened in 2020, but we were also dealing with an issue of homelessness that required that we couldn't be on the streets giving up this cart for people. And so we still haven't done anything with this project yet due to COVID, but we are actually now ready to launch. So that's what brought us together. And Dr. Ray Tahir was also involved in the development of this cart. So it's kind of a nifty little thing. So we decided to work this way because we wanted the engineering students to have a contribution in terms of working alongside with us so that if the cart has any breakdowns, like wheels breaking or whatever is going on with that unit, we will have a student on hand who will help do the assessment and then manufacture in-house at the School of Engineering to fix it. And then the social work side or the counseling side, and we have a social science student involved, they're to be there to actually have a nursing student, I think. We have someone who's then involved to actually work on the other side, which is to look at the issue of well-being while on the street. So if we have users who are using this, there tend to be people who are homeless. And so we need that both of those lenses. And that's to bring in also experience of working with people with lived experience of homelessness. So that's how we did it. And we hope that the scholars, the MURPH scholars, us and the students will, learn something new about what it means to be working with technology in an area that most people think would not be relevant to people who are living rough without a home. And because of all the changes in the city here, we're going to look at some new developments, I think. So we hope to extend it for this project to also look at how this could be used in the case of fire evacuations like that we've seen this past summer. So thank you. And we have two students, and one of them is Natasha, perhaps you can name them.
Yes, absolutely. Denise Gundes, who is in engineering, and health sciences and exercises, Paige Reiki.
Yes. So welcome to them. Looking forward to meeting them.
Okay. The next project is developing and evaluating an education program for using a restorative approach to address healthcare harm. And is Dr. Olkey or Dr. Reed on today?
I'm here, Natasha.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm Nellie Oak. I'm an associate professor with the School of Nursing at UBC Okanagan, and Colin Reed is with social work, and we are working together on this project. This is a project that really arose from a graduate student's work of mine, and the graduate student is did her MA, finished that off, and she's now in her PhD, and so she will be providing some significant support to the students as well, which is I think also a really nice relationship for the students. So healthcare harm can be a significant issue in our health systems. 1 in 10 of all of patients that enter hospital have experienced harm, have a med error, or have a near miss. And so currently processes that deal with the harm are, I would say, perhaps not satisfactory to patients and family members, as well as clinicians as well, who experience blame and shame. And so a restorative approach is a different way of thinking about how we might actually look at healing. Healing for patients, family members, and clinicians themselves. And it borrows from, based on Indigenous ways of knowing and being, and really focuses on a healing relationship-based process that we all learn from and work towards healing. And so we are building an education program for health authority staff, for providers, as well as patients or family members who may be involved in this process. And this is what the students are going to be working on, consulting with different stakeholders that we have, working with a couple of health authorities. We have other provincial stakeholders. We have stakeholders across Canada as well as internationally. And this is the first of the first incidence of using this approach in Canada. So this is absolutely brand new. And so that's exciting for us, and I'm sure exciting for the students as well. So it is a multidisciplinary project because it encompasses so many different areas, ethics and politics and liability, legal issues, as well as healthcare professionals. And so Colin, Dr. Reed was a committee member for my graduate student. And so that's how we started collaborating on this specific project. And I'm hoping that the MURPH scholars will really take away an ability to think differently, to sort of think about how we might do things differently in our healthcare systems and address some of these issues that are ongoing. And all three of my students are here, and I'll have to say that I have a third one that we very fortunately were able to fund through our own funding, small amount of funding that we have. And so we're very pleased to have the three students that we have.
Thank you. And so our three students are one's from science, and that's Dylan Rogers. We have a nursing student, Alicia Sindhu, and a science student, Madison Campbell. So if any of you are on this evening, if you want to say hi, we'll give you a moment to unmute your mic.
Hi everyone, my name's Madison. I'm really excited to meet everyone this year.
Hi friends, my name is Dylan. My pronouns are he, him, his, and yeah, I'm elated to be here. Thank you so much.
Hi, and my name is Alicia. As it was mentioned, I'm a fourth-year nursing student, and I'm very excited to be here as well.
Thank you. Okay. So our next project is developing an online resource for safe and active recreation for families living with autism. Is Dr. Olson, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to say your last name. Is it Dr. Sestak? Sorry if I mispronounced
I'm
that.
here, Dr. Olson, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Great, thank you. So I'm Lisa Olson, I'm an associate professor in the School of Nursing, and I'm working with Dr. Carolyn Zostak, that's how you say it, from psychology on this project. So our focus in this research and working with the MURPH students is to work towards building a family-friendly design for a website to help meet the informational resource needs for parents of children living with autism, particularly to help them with engaging in safe recreation in community settings. So this has been a very much a natural fit for a multidisciplinary project because it's brought together the students who are from psychology and from science and myself from nursing to work on the different kind of intersecting ideas and topics that are part of this project. For example, like physical activity and recreation, working with children who are experiencing developmental challenges, ideas around safety and injury prevention, and also website design and tying all of those different aspects together. So the project involves myself and Dr. Zostak as faculty members, and we've known each other for quite a few years and seen each other and worked together on different non-research things across campus. So this project's a really nice chance for us to have a chance to work together on a research project, and it's a very good fit with Carolyn's interests as well in psychoeducational approaches to family health promotion. So very much looking forward to this collaboration and also to looking forward very much as well to working with our two students, Paige and Rebecca, and hoping this project gives them the chance to work in a multidisciplinary setting and gain some experience with a very applied research project aimed at meeting family needs. So thank you.
Thank you. So Paige is has a science background, and Rebecca is from psychology. And if they're on here, would they like to just give a quick hi?
Hi, nice to meet you all.
Rebecca had a class tonight.
Okay, that's no problem. Okay, next project is Steps to Indoor Normalcy, Real-Time Analysis of Aerosol Spread and Dispersion in Dynamic Indoor Environments. So is Dr. Sunny Lee, Dr. Little, or Jake Winkler on and can share a little bit about their project?
Hi, Natasha. I think Sunny is on the road and John is in Toronto right now, so they both send their apologies. But it's nice to meet everybody. My name is Jake. I am the coordinator for the Airborne Disease Transmission Cluster. So hopefully I can speak a little bit to the MURPH project and give some information on it. Actually, Natasha, while I do that, I do have a little slide. Maybe that's the best thing to do, a little visual. But I'll speak to those first two questions, or I guess middle two questions. Dr. Sunny Lee and Dr. Little are both the co-leads of the Eminence Cluster of Excellence in Airborne Disease Transmission. So they're already working together quite a bit on a lot of multidisciplinary projects. So that's how this MURPH project got started as well. And I'll just give a quick slide, just maybe it's a better visual than me trying to explain the project. Can we all see that?
Yes, yes, we can. If you could put it in slideshow mode. We'll see. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, our project is titled Steps to Indoor Normalcy. So real-time analysis of aerosol spread in dynamic environments. And I'll try to get through this super quick. But I'm pretty sure this should be hopefully common knowledge by now that the transmission risk of COVID-19 is definitely the highest in indoor environments. So big gatherings and enclosed rooms with poor ventilation and filtration. So really the purpose of the MURPH project is to gather data to make indoor environments more safe. So what the students will be doing during the project is using essentially a simulated process that we've kind of developed at the ADTRC. And that's essentially aerosolizing traceable microbeads, these plastic microbeads with a DNA tag on them. And we can track them in a specific environment and room through PCR analysis or other engineering particle counting equipment, which is out of my field, and the importance of having both engineering and a health student and science student on the project. But the students, they'll be applying this process essentially to two pretty important indoor environments. One, we have a partnership with Interior Health, the Kelowna General Hospital. So simulating the spread of these aerosols in a hospital environment. And then also here at UBC Okanagan in some of the classrooms to make sure we understand the spread of aerosols in our big classrooms and to hopefully use that data to make it a safer place. So I think both Ria and Rio are here as well, so we're excited to have them on the team. And I think if they come away with just knowing how to work together in a team and to understand the importance of, understanding science outside of your field and implementing that in a real life scenario would be great. So that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jake. And Rio and Ria, if you'd like to just say a quick hi, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Andrea. I'm excited to meet everyone.
Hi, I'm Ria. I'm really glad to be a part of this project. So to everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next project. It is called a mobile makerspace to support inclusive patient and community-led technology solutions for rural health and wellness. And it's with Dr. Eric Lee, Dr. Winquillo, and Dr. Rush. And I think they have some slides to share.
Yeah, just one.
Oh, okay.
Hang on, let me get this fired up here. All right, can you see that? Is it purple?
Yes,
okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be part of this program. I am working, as mentioned, with Dr. Eric Lee and Dr. Kathy Rush from management and nursing respectively. And this project, we are looking at kind of doing an assessment of the requirements for building a mobile rural makerspace. The idea of this came from, just thinking about rural mobile health spaces or maker spaces and how they tend to be based in large cities. And so we know that the needs of rural communities are quite different. A lot of times, certainly the infrastructure, the technological infrastructure is quite different as well. And so building on the work that Drs. Lee and Rush have completed already as part of the Rural Health Equity Excellence Cluster. They've just produced a report recently and a study that had conducted this comprehensive in-depth discussions and conversations with communities across rural BC around identifying priorities for how technology might be leveraged to support health and wellness. And so the mobile rural makerspace is kind of a natural kind of building on those ideas. So now that we know the priorities, what are actually the requirements of a makerspace? So what kind of materials do we need? What kind of hardware, software, what kind of training and knowledge do we need? And the project that we proposed to the MURPH program this year is bringing together a literature review and a form of requirement specification, and then pulling those together to come up with kind of a blueprint for what a rural makerspace would be. Likely it has to be mobile, we're thinking, because of the geographic challenges that we have, certainly in rural BC and elsewhere. But the idea is, what can we learn from how people are already using the technologies that they have available to them? How are they coming up with creative ways of using the technologies that they already have? Are they coming up with creative ways to support their health and wellness that way? And kind of pulling that together to come up again with this blueprint for a makerspace and what that might look like. And so I'm a new faculty, as I mentioned. I met Dr. Rush during the interview process and Dr. Lee through the link with Resets, and we're doing some other work together as well. And this really, it's necessary to have a multidisciplinary perspective here, because we're talking about the needs of humans and the unique context and understanding those dynamics, as well as starting to think of creative ideas around technology. So we needed someone with a technological kind of eye and kind of lens as well. And our hope for the students is to see the value in that working together. So I have some background in implementation science, and we know that one of the challenges we have with technologies in health is that they're developed, but then it kind of fails at the implementation stage because we haven't thought about context. We haven't thought about the human and social aspect enough. And so we hope that that's the students, what they can gain from this experience.
Thank you very much. So Emily from science is working on this project, and Ashish in engineering. And if they want to pop on and just say hello.
Hey, I'm Ashish. Nice to meet you all.
And I'm Emily. Hi.
Thank you. While we have you, Dr. Ronquillo, would you like to speak about the other project you're involved in? It's called Establishing Foundations for Equity, Considerate Artificial Intelligence in Community Health, Understanding Community Health Nurses' Conceptualizations and Documentation of Health Equity and Electronic Health Records.
Thanks for attempting that. I'm very bad at titles, so that I have the massive titles. So actually, sorry, this is a slide. So this other project I'm working with Dr. Shirley Chow from social work and Dr. Xiaoxiao Li, who is based at UBC Vancouver, electrical and computer engineering. And as the title states, it's really establishing the foundations kind of for this broader research program that I'm working on establishing here at UBC Okanagan. And this is the very initial stages. So down the line, the idea is that these initial stages will build into developing methods and developing processes of better incorporating health equity as we build artificial intelligence algorithms that are going to be used in healthcare systems. So in this beginning step, we're going all the way back through to data collection. And we are trying to understand in this project, how do community health nurses, how do they actually conceptualize health equity? And then how does that translate to their documentation? So we're interested in things like, what do community health nurses count as health equity data? How are those documented? Because we know that the data are what are going to feed the algorithms. So we're trying to understand first how the data are shaped, what shapes them as the very beginning steps. So this project will involve interviews and discussions with community health nurses around how health equity is conceptualized. How is that then documented into an electronic health record? And we're also interested in the actual design and the role of the electronic health record in shaping how nurses document. And so, are there no spaces? Are there no drop-down menus to capture particular social determinants of health, for example? Is this stuff being documented only in narrative notes, which we know it's a lot more difficult to kind of pull from to build these algorithms? And what we're hoping to come out of this study at this stage is to be able to develop a gold standard kind of corpus of health equity language that community health nurses use in their documentation. And that gold standard corpus, so that body of kind of language that's being used is going to be eventually used as our comparison. So we're going to eventually compare, what can this machine learning process, how does that define health equity data, and how does that compare to how the humans have actually compared it, so we can kind of get an understanding of how accurate those are. And this one, again, because of the nature of it being situated around humans, essentially, so how the nurses are going to conceptualize those data are eventually what's going to shape what's possible with AI. We need both lenses. So somebody who understands how documentation kind of works, what does a health encounter look like? What does health equity, what does that look like in different contexts, and how might we document that? But we also need someone with that technical perspective who can kind of think ahead in terms of seeing, okay, this type of data are going to be documented in this particular way, and this is what that means for, later down the line where we're trying to build the algorithm. And I've listed the names of the scholars we're working with here as well, but I'll let them introduce themselves also, or say hello.
Hey everyone, my name is David. I think I believe that this is the project that I'm working on. I was not sure if I was going to get an introduction there from the helpful mentors, but I'm very excited to be conducting research on this year.
Thank you. And Dawson?
Dawson is in class at the moment.
Okay, sounds good. Dr. Bergstrom and Dr. Zandberg. So their project is generating human colonic mucus factories from colon organoids for use as a novel prebiotic to combat microbiota-dependent intestinal diseases. So would you be able to tell us a little bit about your project, Dr. Bergstrom? You're still on mute. Sorry, Dr. Bergstrom, you're still muted.
Okay, so yes, hi, I'm Kirk, and I am very, very thrilled to be hosting the MURPH Scholars in my lab, and I'm with Dr. Zandberg. I don't think he's joining us at the moment, but yes, I want to congratulate Spencer Ursel and Ojobane Amidu. I hope I didn't butcher that name. You can correct me, but I'm very happy to have you on board. So what we want to do is want to develop a novel prebiotic platform So what prebiotics are compounds that feed good microbes in the body, and these good microbes help to prevent inflammatory diseases like inflammatory bowel disease. And so what are we going to actually do? Well, we're going to try to take advantage of an endogenous prebiotic. This is something that we produce in our own bodies. And these include molecules called mucins. Mucins are very high molecular weight glycoproteins. These are mostly carbohydrate. What they are very large polypeptide molecules. Like proteins, actually, they are about 3,000 to 5,000 amino acids long. And then they have a huge chunk of those amino acids are glycosylated by these types of oligosaccharides called O-glycans. And these can form these very diverse structures. They made about 5 sugars at least, and they're linked in a very heterogeneous, diverse array. And why they're so important is that they stabilize the mucus barrier, and they also feed the microbes. Microbes love the mucus, and this is what keeps the microbes in the gut happy, and it keeps the guts happy. And so what we want to be able to do is exploit this mucus system in diseases where we see defects in the mucus system. So ulcerative colitis is a type of inflammatory bowel disease. They have long-standing defects in the mucus system, and the microbes are, instead of being in the lumen where they belong, they're actually invading the tissue and causing inflammation. So we think if we can give back these mucins to the mice or to the people, we're going to use mouse models, but if we give back the mucins to the people, we should restore that happy relationship to these microbes, which are very adapted to these glycans that exist in the gut. So if you just give me 1 second here, I can actually share my screen if it's possible. And I'll just basically give a very rough rundown. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the microbiota. All you really need to know for this is that you have a lot of them in your gut. They're really prolific in the colon, where you can have up to 1 trillion of them. So right now, when you think about it, they're crawling around in you, and they're multiplying, they're digesting your food. You really have this beautiful ecosystem that's inside of you, and it really is a beautiful one. And they play lots of roles in health and disease. Are you guys, I guess, seeing my, let me just fix this here. Switch displays. Okay. Try this again. This is what happens when you have multiple monitors. So let me just try this real quick. Go back to Zoom. You guys are over here. I'm going to stop the share for a sec, and then I'm going to go to this guy here. Okay, and then I'm going to go to, well, this is what we're just going to have to work with tonight. So share screen, desktop 1, PowerPoint. Okay, if you guys can see this, that's really the most important thing. Okay, so these microbes play roles in health, they play roles in disease. Are you guys seeing my screen okay? Yes or no?
Yes, we are.
Good. And inflammatory bowel disease I just talked about. There's 2 types: ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. Ulcerative colitis affects, this is the colon, the human colon. It affects going from the rectum, and it kind of crawls up, and it affects mainly the colon, whereas Crohn's disease causes these skip lesions that can affect the entire GI tract. They're both these chronic inflammatory diseases, and they're both miserable to have. They're both also very widely prevalent in Canada. And we actually think that about 1% of the population is expected to have this disease. And it has enormous cost to health burden. So this is actually what it looks like. If you actually look at this depiction of a human, this is the healthy colon. This is, you see these nice ordered crypts, looks beautiful. Ulcerative colitis, those crypts are totally destroyed. And you see all these dark dots in here. These are immune cells that think that there's an infection happening. And this is the bloody ulceration that can happen. So this is where the MURPH project comes in. So this is actually a cross section of a mouse colon. This would look very similar in a human, where you have this beautiful mucus layer that forms this, what's called this inner barrier. And you can see the red here is the microbiota, and these microbes are stopped. They're separated from the tissue where the goblet cells are that secrete the mucus by this mucus barrier. But you can see that the mucus forms two layers. It forms this barrier layer and this niche layer. This is the niche that the microbes love, and this is what feeds them. And if you look at this box here, these are all the sugars, the glycans, these old glycans that are linked to the mucus are exposed to the microbiota and feeding them. And so this is what we want to exploit. This is what happens when you get rid of that mucus. So here's the normal mucus. They're separated from the tissue. This is on the top left, but here you can see that the mucus is gone. This is a mutant mouse that's lacking the glycans, and so the mucus doesn't work properly. The microbes are now smashed up against the tissue and they're instigating this inflammation. So essentially what we want to do is, this is where we get into this mucus factory. How can we actually generate this mucus that could make the microbes happy again? We're going to take advantage of organoids. So these are derived from gut stem cells. These are epithelial cells that are taken from biopsies from humans or from mice, and we can culture them now basically in vitro, in standard cell culture situation. And what you can do with them now is a whole lot of things. You can take them from cancer patients or inflammatory patients. You can treat them with drugs and screen to see which drugs might work. But here we want to do something different. We want to differentiate them into goblet cells that secrete the mucus, and we want to collect a lot of it. And so this is basically what we can do in the lab now. Organoids as mucus factories. This is just an example of how we would do it. In this case, it's a mouse colon. Now we're going to isolate the crypts from them. So these are these epithelial structures, these units that are called crypts. And then we can culture them in the stem cell media, give the organoids. And here's an example of an organoid growing over time. It's just quite a beautiful structure. But what we want to do is make them produce mucus. And so this is actually a human enteroid that's producing the major mucus molecule called MUC2 in green, these green round cells, and it's going to secrete mucus into the media. And we can do some culture systems. For example, we can just let them grow, or we're going to try to put them on a transwell plate to polarize them so they secrete out, or we're going to just try to get them to secrete in their spheroid form too. And ultimately, we can do these really neat studies where we can, for example, grow them in these glycans we got from the mucus, look at the metabolites and look at the glycomics to see what type of glycans there are, and we can feed them to the microbes and see how they influence their growth and also their production of beneficial metabolites like short chain fatty acids, which are known to have very strong and potent anti-inflammatory potential. So,
Dr. Bergstrom,
thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Can Dr. Bergstrom's students pop in and say hi?
Hi there, I'm Spencer. I'm really honored to be a part of this and excited to work on our project.
Excellent, Spencer.
Hey,
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
I'm OJ, so that's easier to say than my actual name. So
Yep.
OJ.
Awesome. Cool.
Nice to
OJ.
meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too, OJ and Spencer. I'll get in touch with you. I really look forward to working with you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And our final project this evening is using artificial intelligence to assess performance of fine motor and upper limb skills in health and disease. And this is with Dr. Krautner as well as Dr. Komisar. Are there of you on this evening?
Hi, this is Vicki Komisar. I don't think that Dr. Kreutner could make it, so I'll be representing the team, but I want to make it very clear to everyone here that this project was Sarah's or Dr. Kreutner's idea, so she's the brains behind this operation. So both of us are human movement scientists. I do a bit more in biomechanics, she does a bit more motor control. And our areas of research are actually fairly similar, but because the work is multidisciplinary, she's appointed in psychology and I'm in engineering, though I think really we're interchangeable in both areas. So we are interested in understanding if you and how you can use markerless motion capture systems to track upper limb movement, both in the laboratory and in the field. We know that Kelowna has recently surpassed Victoria as having the highest proportion of adults over the age of 65 per capita. And we know that the population in this area is aging, and that's going to be accompanied by a number of challenges that result in motor deficits, such as stroke or Parkinson's or other sorts of morbidities. We also know that, especially with COVID, the incentive for people to, or ability for people to come into the clinic to track their rehabilitation progression after being sent home from the hospital from their stroke is pretty limited. Partly due to COVID, but also due to other challenges like the time it takes to get to a center if you're nowhere near it. A lot of people, as they get older, they'll lose their driver's license, and that's a lot harder to get around. So there's very strong impetus for in-home ways of monitoring movement progression. So we are starting to explore the feasibility of a program called Deep Lab Cut, and this will use video images and integrate data from a few cameras into 3D. And when the program was validated in the laboratory setting, they've gotten pretty good results for tracking movement accuracy. With the challenge, of course, being that it's always easy to validate anything in the lab. And the program was set up with gross movements, like markers on a person's legs. And these tend to have very different profiles than what we see with the hands, which can move faster. There's more complexity. And when fingers cross with each other, a markerless system might lose track of what it's tracking and start tracking the wrong finger. So what we're hoping, first of all, we've recruited 2 awesome students to start by working on in the laboratory how we can extract important measures of upper limb movement just from movement profiles in the lab. If this works out, we're going to get a sense of the range of movements that we can characterize and the people who can characterize them on. We want to see if we can characterize movements accurately, not only in healthy individuals, but also people who have who are recovering from a stroke or have Parkinson's, because the frequency of movements tends to be different. And we also want to see if these systems can actually work in home environments, where having stuff in the background like furniture or pets can really mess up an algorithm for tracking a person's movement. And all the while this is going on, we also want to get a sense of whether older adults are even willing to use this device for tracking upper limb movement at home, or if they end up hating it altogether, if there's anything we can do to improve the acceptability. So that's our work in a nutshell. And so we have Nadine and Ella from psychology and human kinetics. So I'll maybe pass it back to you to introduce them.
Hi, I'm Ella. I'm really excited to meet all of you and get started on this project.
Nadine was driving home from a quiz apparently, so she won't be able to say hi.
Okay, so that ends our discussion around the projects. I'd like to say thank you for to everyone for sharing information about your projects. It really does show the diversity of these projects. They're cutting edge, so interesting, and I look forward to learning more about these particular projects as the year progresses. So Megan, if you could share the slideshow again, that would be great. And we'll just move on to a discussion around some of the guiding principles that the MURPH program hopes to abide by. So just when it comes to principal investigators, really the goal, or where the principal investigator actually fits in, is really to, you are in charge of the operational plan and execution of the research project. MURPH per se doesn't get involved in any of that piece. And so your project timeline and deliverables are based on how you see fit in achieving your goals. We provide the students for you, and they are hired. They will start being hired next week. October 18th is when they're officially hired. to work 10 hours per week for you. And so what that 10 hours per week looks like in your lab is going to vary depending on the project. And that's up to you and how you want to actually manage that. And obviously through discussion with the students. We also want to foster a collaborative research environment. So in previous years, sometimes the challenge has been that we have this or multidisciplinary project, but the students end up working on their own. And that's really not our philosophy. We want the students to actually learn from each other, work with each other as much as possible to actually get that flavor of multidisciplinary research, because we feel that's the best way for students to learn. And that's ultimately our philosophy. And so we encourage regular meetings with the disciplines involved, but we also encourage students to meet with each other regularly as well. And as far as timelines, just to kind of put the bug in your ear, we'll be talking a little bit more about our workshops, but we do have the students present at a conference at the near March. It's a UBCO conference, but the abstracts are due quite early. Generally they're due near the end of January. And so those are some timelines we're trying to hit, just to have like a preliminary abstract prepared so that they can attend these particular conferences. And so if there are ever any concerns, we encourage you to contact Megan and I, because we are basically the go-between MURPH management, the students, as well as the principal investigators. So next slide. And so when it comes to the MURPH scholars, we actually encourage that obviously more communication, open communication is what we want. We want to see open communication between the PI, your MURPH, your partner, your partner scholar, as well as with the MURPH team. So if there's any issues, please let Megan and I know, or you need some advice, we're certainly here to help. Your principal investigators are the ones that are going to actually drive the research, but you're there to actually execute the research plan. So you're there to, just to execute the research plan. And as MURPH mentors, where we come in is that we're here to guide, but we also supplement your research, the learning you achieve through your research project through the MURPH workshops. And so, you will be working with a MURPH scholar from a very different discipline, and sometimes they have very different language and words. And as I think we all know as ourselves as principal investigators and PhD students and various researchers, that sometimes it can be hard to understand jargon, and we'll be doing a workshop a little bit around the jargon that different disciplines use. So we just want to encourage fair and respectful communication. And basically the success of your experience in MURPH really is with working as a team with everyone that is involved in this program. And so sometimes it can be challenging to think about how you're going to work together. And if you need any ideas, Megan and I are here to support. So what our MURPH program consists of is we obviously do the launch to try and get everyone on the same page. And then what we do is that we have in the past, and we will this year as well, deliver 3 different types of workshops. The first workshop really focuses on communicating within your team. So focusing on multidisciplinary teamwork as well as collaboration. Workshop 2, which generally is in January, really focuses on patient-oriented research and design thinking. So sometimes we aren't exposed to these concepts in our training. And so we're looking at getting patients involved in our research from the bottom up. And we actually bring a patient partner and into our workshop, and students have quite enjoyed this particular workshop. And finally, workshop 3 really focuses in on research, presentation and dissemination. So working together on, say, for example, a poster that will be presented at the UBC Interdisciplinary Conference. And as far as our workshops, here's sort of the timeline. There are 2 conferences that you can attend. The UBCO conference is actually mandatory, but there's a conference in MURPH, which is a multidisciplinary undergraduate research conference that can be attended as well. Our workshops are mandatory, and the reason for that is that in order to actually learn, we need you to attend these particular workshops, and we do try our best to work around your particular schedules. And we will give you much more time than this launch event. I just want to mention that the PIs, as PIs, you're welcome to attend. And if you have other students in your lab that you feel may actually benefit from attendance at these workshops, we're open to having you. We just need RSVPs. And our goal this year is to run a hybrid program. So if we are able, have in-person workshops, but we will also have the workshops accessible via Zoom online. Okay, next slide. And so all of our, how we actually work, a lot of our workshops, we have a pre-preparation, we run the workshop, and then some post-workshop exercises for reflection. And we work through these workshops by posting on Canvas. We like to keep our website, our MURPH website, up to date, and so would like to profile all the projects and students and PIs. So if the scholars, just a reminder, send your pictures to us, MURPH scholars, and as well as the PIs, you will receive invites to our upcoming events. And if you'd like to attend, just please RSVP. And as far as the students, if they could let us know if they can or cannot make it, but we're hoping they will work around everyone's schedule. So MURPH actually does provide a certificate at the end, and to receive the MURPH certificate, there are some expectations. The first expectation is that you complete the assigned research project, and that's based on the satisfaction of your faculty advisor, the attendance at the 3 workshops, and then attendance at 1 of 2 conferences and these are multidisciplinary conferences that are opportunities to share your research. And so just some administrative details. Students work 10 hours per week for a total of 20 weeks. And the pay period is October 18th to December 3rd. We take a break, and then we begin the program again January 3rd to April 1st, and your payment will come at the end of the month. And please don't wait 2 or 3 months if you're not getting paid or there are any issues with payroll. Let Megan and I know, and we can sort out any issues right away. So with that, I just wanted to thank everyone for their attendance tonight. And if there are any questions, we can stick around for a few minutes and answer any questions you may have about the program. But thank you so much for joining us and being patient with my technical difficulties.
Any questions from our PIs or students? Okay, if anyone has any questions, feel free to again message Natasha and I. We will be here to guide you. And as soon as we plan the workshops, we will email you the calendar dates, and we will have a little activity for our MURPH scholars. We will email you and post it on Canvas so we can get to know each other and start the collaborations. Thank you very